How's it going, everyone? This is Florian with Monarch. Excited to show you guys information on our next deal. It's another development deal in Linda Vista. I remember the first time we got one of these, we were trying to get as many as possible. So I think this is going to be number three or four. And yeah, it's I'm gonna for the purposes of the investors that are becoming a little more sophisticated that are watching these videos, I'm going to get into the details of the loan underwriting and just the deck a little more detail. So for those that appreciate a little more layman's terms, I apologize for the language, I guess. Another just quick update. So we actually have a new third GP or partner that we're introducing. His name is Brandon Burns, good friend of mine. I've known him for my entire real estate career. He's actually a 1031 accommodator is his daily job, but he has a lot of history and experience with these types of deals, development stuff, specifically the type that we're doing. He's also raised money for another group. So Josh is very much still involved in Monarch. He just is doing more of the traditional value add plays, and we're bringing Brandon in for the development side. So for those of you again who might not be in San Diego, why do we love Linda Vista? Obviously, you can see here how well centrally located it is. Downtown is just south here. There is a ton of new construction happening here. I'm talking, anything from 10 units to 100 units, and we just think that's going to get as these rents go huge. And by the way, a lot of this is being done without parking, so we just think there's going to be a lot of rents pushing this whole little quadrant here, which has for many years been a lot of like homes excuse me, homes. Linda Vista specifically has been a lot of older homes, but I would say within 3 years ago we started seeing a lot of these richer 4 unit pop up and 4 unit deals pop up. The fact that it's anchored by USD down here is huge, and obviously, I mean, 5 minutes to the beach, 5 minutes to Mission Valley, 8 to 10 minutes to downtown, North Park, University Heights are all here. So this is tremendous real estate that we just think is going to do well. So going into the actual property, so this is a duplex. The price is 1.1 million. Comps for this on the market, this is off market that we're getting it, but comps for this when it goes to market, anywhere from 1.3 to 1.5. This one right here sold a couple months ago for 1.47. That was 2 units. So we're getting a very good price here on our basis. So some things to point out with this area, some pros and cons. So this property, let me zoom in a little bit. This property here, right here, is new construction, 6 units. This right here, they just bought, is also going to be new construction. This right next to our parcel, new construction, 4 unit. I've mentioned this one. I do not know the developer or the buyer, rather. I'm not sure if they're going to build. This one right here is going to be 11 units. So that's all great for rents and just the neighborhood all becoming modernized. And on that note, real quick, I'll just show you the one next door. So this is the 4 unit next door. They kept the house. This is a 2 bedroom, 2-story unit, and then these are 3 bedroom, two bath townhomes. So this is right next door. So again, real quick, this just sold for 2.65 million. So just under 700K a door. Just remember that 700K a door number. So those are all pros. The cons are, this is a pretty, this isn't a super wide street. With all these apartments happening, this whole little area is going to become quite condensed. So we just thought that parking the site was going to be very important. We're scraping this 2 unit and building 16 units on it, 3-story building. So we went ahead and got a professional, this is the architect that we're using, so a real yield study just to kind of create the site plan. We told them give us as many parking spots as possible. As of now, this has 7 parking spots. Out of the 16 units, 6 of them are deed restricted affordable units. So they get a massive discount on rent for new construction. So not parking those isn't the worst thing. Basically, we're trying to get to 10 would be great. So we're getting 7, and then these are like legal permitted units or parking spots. Once this thing is built, we can add another 3 or 4 here. There should be plenty of space, as well as another couple here. So I think we'll get over 12 spots, which is great. But yeah, we'll share this. This is the yield study. But yeah, so 16 units, and I'll jump into the underwriting now. You guys can skip the first 2 tabs. They're just not really relevant for this type of project. But here we go, $1.1 million. And the raise, I'm going to talk about what's going on with the actual raise. So the raise is $922,000. That's called phase 1. The underwriting that I show you is with 1.35 million, call it, taken into consideration. Basically, all the money that I think I would need to get this from start to finish. The reason why we're only raising this much is there's a ton of information that we don't know yet that we're assuming that could change the returns, and that's the interest rate and our leverage. Whether we go 80 or 90 or 95% loan to cost on the project, that's a big difference. So we, a few deals ago, we started making this adjustment where we just raise enough to buy the deal, carry the deal for 2 years, and because these are obviously going to be negative cash flowing, so we need money just in the bank to carry it, and basically get us to the point where we're about to get our construction loan. So a lot of the permit costs are factored in. Okay, so 922 is the actual raise. And so again, this model, the underwriting that I go over is with 1.3 million factored in, which means that the returns will actually be better than what I show you if in fact we are able to raise closer to this amount or less than 1.34. Okay, so all the numbers here are taking into account a 5-year exit. That could go as quickly as 3 years, depending on, again, some factors I'll go into. But just think of it as a 5-year hold with a project completion of I'm talking fully leased and stabilized at around the 2 to 2.5 year mark, probably closer to 2.5 years. Okay, on this many units. So I'll quickly go into the fees. We're doing our typical, like the last couple, we did the same structure. So 8% preferred return, 50% promote. Again, that promote does not activate until we pay back the investors all of their invested money plus the 8% every year. And so again, this typically ends up, it's not till we sell that we actually as managers make any money. So that's the promote, and the fee, or the preferred structure. We have a 3% acquisition fee. We're doing a 2% asset management fee. There is a 1% disposition fee baked into the sale cost. And then we are paying a developer fee for project managing. It's basically 2% of the project cost, and it's paid half of it up front, and the other half is paid either through a refi or at sale, so a lot later. But these are the costs. Again, we're getting, for the acquisition, we're getting our preferred lender. So we're getting 85% leverage. There's our interest rate. Sorry. And yeah, so that's basically the acquisition. Okay. And that gets us into the actual project. And so here are the 16 units that we're shaping. I think it's five 2-bedroom units. The rest are ones. Those are the rents. These are quite conservative for what is actually being built today in Linda Vista. I'm using $300 a foot for construction. We're starting to get bids now for some of our other projects. Going to be closer to $275. So this is padded. And then there's some other, costs that could come into play. Transformer, electrical, depending on what's wired there on the site. And then these are, we already have, this is from the proposal from our architect. There should be other padded costs here with the permitting. Probably maybe 20% worth of additional costs here that we might not even get. Okay, so total project costs here of 5.2 million. I'm now going to flip back to this page where these loan sizer questions come in. Okay, so 5.2 million total project costs. We're shaping a refi with a value of 8.2 million. So you can see already that's the profit, about a $3 million spread. This is with 511,000 a unit. So if you remember this 4 unit I told you about, that went for under 700K a door, or just under 700K a door. I think we're very well padded there from a value standpoint at a 4.5 cap rate, by the way. I think a lot of these 5 unit plus deals will start coming out and they'll be closer to 600 a door. So the rate I'm using is 6.75. Right now they're at 6.25 to 6. Well, for this kind of loan, it'd be at 6.25, but 6.25 to 6.5 is what we're seeing. So this is, assuming things get worse. And then the loan sizers that I'm using. So 1.2 DCR is the easy one. And then from here, I'm just shaping how much equity I think I need to bring in, which factors into, again, the difference between these two numbers. But so, again, project loan to cost, 80% is very conservative. There's lenders right now going all the way up to 95. Brandon has worked with a lender on several deals for himself, so that's proven. So I'm only at 80% is my total cap, and so these loan stresses are basically, I want these numbers to be positive. I want there to be enough loan dollars in my future takeout loan to cover the existing debt on acquisition and for construction, which is that number. So that checks, that checks, that checks. And so long story short, let me look at again, these are year 5 returns after fees. This is showing a rate and term refi, so no money returned. However, we're doing an 8.3 IRR, just under a 7% average cash on cash, and a 2.42 equity multiple. So that's great. We're more than doubling money in 5 years. And I would consider this my worst case scenario, or our worst case scenario underwriting. And I always show a few variations. So let me do some tweaks. I'm going to take this interest rate down to 5.75. I'm going to get my construction costs closer to what I anticipate they will be. And then again, these rents are closer to 3,200 to 3,300. I'll raise them to 3,100. So just some typical, some realistic assumptions, and then that's going to let me get my loan dollars up. And so with those tweaks, I am now paying back nearly 50% of capital in and around year 3. My IRR jumped to 21.3. My cash on cash almost doubled, and I got higher on the equity multiple. So you can see how these assumptions just can drastically change. The last thing I'll show is there's different ways to underwrite these deals, and Brandon with another partnership has done build to sell, which means that they do not do a refi. We have always done build to hold with a refi. So I'm going to show you what that would look like. This would be a 3-year exit. I'm showing you because could we do this? Very much so. It will depend on the rate environment, the leverage environment when we get there. But the biggest difference here is they're going to be using that 95% loan to cost, right? So the 4.9 million here, that's the loan amount that I can build to. So I can get this thing all the way to like 85, even higher, and I'm still under, right? So these are highly leveraged deals. There you go. So this is exactly showing if I didn't need another dollar, and I'm raising exactly the amount that would take us through a build and sell model in year 3. And so now I'll come back to this negative. But you can see that these are awesome numbers. The IRR is much higher, 33%, 7% cash on cash, and a 2.5 almost equity multiple. Obviously, the IRR here is huge. Okay, so that's a model. I'll tell you why we haven't traditionally done that, and it's because of this negative number. So basically, obviously in this case, this would be irrelevant because they're not selling, or we're not, we're not doing a refi. We are selling, not doing a refi. So this negative 300% number doesn't matter. But let's say we had to refi. What's going to happen now, for whatever reason, we just couldn't make it work. So unfortunately now my loan tests are failing. So I have $400,000 here negative, which would basically result in a cash in refi. I would need to bring in $400,000 to then refinance this property and get out of the construction debt. So for that one reason, we haven't typically underwritten for that for that strategy rather, and we just prefer to again raise the minimum, but then be very well prepared to raise another 400,000 in this case to get us through, again, depending on rates, depending on the market, depending on all the things we'll know a lot more clearer once we get through and permit the building and are ready to build. Okay. Cool. If you guys have any questions, feel free, and we look forward to taking down this deal. Thanks.